Welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. Our theme for 2025 is the future of work. Meaning is the new money. In a world shaped by rapid innovation and constant change, the pursuit of purpose and impact has never been more important. I'm Dr. John Dentico, your host, bringing over 30 years of experience in leadership, strategic thinking, and purpose-driven innovation. Here, we tackle the pressing challenges of our time, from the rise of artificial intelligence to the growing need for meaning in the workplace. Together, we'll uncover how leaders can ethically integrate AI to enhance decision-making and keep humanity at the heart of their organizations. Remember, amidst all the technological advancements, in the end, it's always about the people. This podcast is your resource for actionable tools, thought-provoking discussions, and inspiring stories. It's time to go beyond leadership development and focus on leadership impact, creating workplaces where people thrive, innovation flourishes, and meaning truly becomes the new currency. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, let's throttle up and dive into today's episode. Hello again, and welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Dr. John Dentico. With me today is Charity Majors, a seasoned leadership and team building expert. Charity Majors helps organizations unlock the power of their people through customized training programs and executive coaching. With a corporate and collegiate background in creating corporate programs, hiring, team building, and company culture, Charity brings a deep expertise in human behavior, communication, and leadership. Charity's proprietary frameworks include the Major Impact Messenger, the ACE Connection Effect, the Major Impact Leadership Accelerator, and the Connected Community, spelt COMUNITY. Who knew this kid could spell? Unbelievable. A community blueprint combined proven methodologies with cutting-edge insights from human behavior and communication. These frameworks have helped numerous people and organizations improve employee engagement, boost productivity, teamwork, communication, and cultivate a culture of high performance. As an award-winning entrepreneur, speaker, author, founder, CEO, Charity Majors has spoken on international stages to thousands of people and has impacted lives globally for over a decade. Charity is the author of Meant for More, Igniting Your Purpose in a World That Tries to Dim Your Light. Isn't that the truth? And a #1 release and #2 bestseller as the creator of the viral 14 Days to Unshakable Confidence and Challenge. I am very pleased as punch to have her here with me today on the podcast. Welcome, Charity. How are you today?
Oh, John, thanks so much. And in your words, I'm peachy.
And I'm peachy. Let's begin by asking you this question. Tell me a bit about yourself. Where did you grow up? And what, in your mind, were some of the fundamental influences in your life?
Besides being a recovering plant killer, I can officially keep plants alive now. I would definitely say I didn't grow up as the little girl that knew that I wanted to be a doctor, or that I had this 17-year plan of my life. There was a time where I really wanted to be a marine biologist. I will have to say, I definitely thought that there would be a lot more marine biologists now in the real world than there really are. But anyways, what I really found was that I loved people, and I had this knack for what I like to call is gold mining. And to really see the potential, to see the gold, to see the worth in someone. And of course, gold mining, you have to sort through some dirt, and you got to sort through some junk and do some digging and put some work in. But when you find that gold nugget, when you're able to draw that out of them and invite them to see what they really carry, the value that they carry, that was where I just found I lit up, I came alive, and even more so to see the people around me come alive in a way and to like really see themselves. That was something that was really special. So it was like once I figured out, oh, I'm actually have a gift for this, I started to do whatever I could to build a business around it. And so all of those fancy letters and names and all of that fun stuff, not only doing it from a leadership perspective, but allowing cultures to do the same thing of finding the power of their people, it has evolved from that.
Oh, great. That's good. Yeah, you never know where influences are going to come from and what effects they'll have on you. People you meet, relatives, different things like that. I had an uncle named Gus. He was a great influence in my life. And my dad was former Navy. My Uncle Gus was former Navy. And somewhere along the line, I developed this real desire to become a naval officer, which I did do. Yeah. And you never know where those influences are going to show up in your life and how they just give you a little nudge one way or the other. So I appreciate your answer. Tell me about Meant for More and the kind of services you offer to clients. What is it that you do to help people live a more meaningful and purposeful life?
Yeah, Meant for More actually stemmed from what I would call the dark night of the soul for me. And I was actually, my husband and I, we journeyed through a lot of loss during a certain season. And I just remember sitting on the bathroom floor, ugly crying on the cold tile, and really asking the big questions. With the salty tears rolling down my face, asking the why me, why us, why this dream, like why am I even here? And as I was asking those big questions, I just remember, for me, it was God, for you, fill in the blank, just this wraparound presence that actually just came and comforted my heart, that shared that I wasn't broken. It felt like all of a sudden the cold tile, I could just feel like the warmth that was wrapped around me. And I remember that as I began the healing journey out of that season of loss, that I started to gain like this unique perspective, which is what I actually feel like the gift of that season was. It was something I would never wish upon anyone. And looking back, I was actually able to really see the gifts that I was given, because I think we can teach what we know, but we can actually impart what we've experienced. And so what I learned in that season was that there are millions of pieces and parts that have to come together for life to be sustained. And it's not a mistake, John, that you're here. It's not a mistake that I'm here. It's not a mistake that for you guys that are listening, it's not a mistake that you're here. You are divinely and uniquely crafted for this exact time in all of history to be walking the planet. And it was like, oh, I actually walked out of that season of loss, and with the unique perspective that every single one of us is a living, breathing, walking miracle. And I think that when we can actually see people that way, that there's so much grace, there's so much understanding for, oh, we're actually all on our own journeys. We're actually all meant for more. We actually all have a dream inside of our hearts that is meant to come to fruition. The word heart in the Hebrew, it actually means to be intertwined with your very being. And I just love that concept. Like, John, you have a dream on your heart that you are living out in in this world, and having this platform where you're able to connect and to serve and to work with others. And so I think it was like, oh, meant for more, like sitting on that bathroom floor. I knew that I was meant for more than in that moment. And being able to then unpack that and express and impart that to others, that they are meant for more too. That's where that journey started. And that's a lot of where kind of that gold mining, helping people develop core values and the vision that they have for their life, and even walking out the practical steps of what it looks like to live out your dream. Are you called to be a voice? Are you called to be a messenger? Are you called to be a leader? Like, how do we actually then practically work that out in our life, and what does that look like? So that's where it started.
It's so interesting. I had a recent guest named Arius on, who's a digital marketing guru. And I've had several guests on the podcast. 2 went to jail at one point in their lives, got out, told me that jail saved their lives.
Wow.
And they're now incredibly successful. One, Nikki Ballou, what a great guest. He was a refugee from Iran. His father and mother got him and his brothers out to Canada. And now he's an incredible coach and really a successful guy. And Arius, maybe it taught me an interesting terminology because of the difficulties he'd been through. His mother had 2 jobs. His father was involved in drugs and died when Arius was 13. And I lived in 12 different places in 18 years. And yet never once did I ever hear the idea or even the implication that he felt as though he was a victim.
Yeah.
Yeah, just an amazing guy. Now he's a digital marketing guru. And he said something that I just gravitated to. And he said that when you go through difficult times, it increases your bandwidth. That's the term he used. It increases your bandwidth to be able to deal with difficulties further on down the line. I'm sure you've heard that great line, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very interesting perspective, considering how many people today are choosing to end their lives during difficult times. And I don't talk about that very lightly, by the way. But beside that, I get it. And sometimes if you're there, if you're open to it, you accept it, it can truly help you transform your life. So I get it. I'm on board with that. I wanted to ask you this question because I'm very curious about this. I gathered from your website that the greater majority of your clients are women. Is that accurate?
It's true.
Is that a fair statement?
It's true.
Here's the curiosity. If you had to characterize the kind of issues women have when they come to you for help, are there 3 that stand out in your mind? The ones that are repetitive, if you will, amongst maybe a group of women that keep coming up. I like to say the gifts that keep on giving, in a manner of speaking. Although those gifts we might want to pass from us. But how would you respond to that question?
Yeah. First and foremost, I think the biggest one is that women feel like they're either dealing with imposter syndrome and that they don't have what it takes, that they're not good enough, that they're not worthy enough, or maybe they're too much, like they don't quite either find this place where they fit in, or the other one is that they don't have a voice. And they don't know what that looks like. But here's the thing, is I actually really believe that we don't need to find our voice. There are a lot of women that are out there like I'm trying to find my voice. And I actually don't feel like you have to find your voice. You already have a voice. You actually just need to be empowered to use it.
Interesting. Any other, you have a number 3 at all? Is there a third one you can think of?
Yeah, I think there's this interesting dynamic of identity. And that a lot of times we place who we be or who we are in what I like to call secondary identities. So secondary identities are what we do, right? How we show up. Oh, okay, I'm a speaker, I'm a podcaster, I'm a mom, I'm a wife, like these do titles. And these are typically what we ask, right? The first thing you walk into a networking event, right? Which one of my companies, it's a networking company for women in business. We have nationwide chapters. And the very first default question that the majority of people ask is, so what do you do? Right? So we actually have so much stake in our identity in what we do compared to who we be or who we are. And that actually gets into foundational identity statements and core values of, I actually have to unpack a lot of the places where I've placed identity, right? So for example, for me, I used to be a volleyball player and I had a lot of identity and stake in me being a volleyball player. Like I would walk around my college campus with the XYZ school volleyball team. And it was like there was so much identity. And then when I graduated, I wasn't on the team anymore. And it was like I almost went through an identity crisis. Or when I was in business and then became a mom, and I shifted a lot more into motherhood. And now my schedule wasn't dictated by clients throughout the day. It was dictated by poopy diapers and breastfeeding and being up at 3 a.m. And it was like, oh my gosh, I can't have my primary identity be in what I do anymore compared to who I be. And so who am I? Like, what's that primary identity? Where am I actually putting a stake in the ground that no matter what happens in life, no matter what pivots happen, no matter what job changes come, no matter what evolutions, no matter what is happening in the economy, actually the identity of who I be, it's not
very interesting.
It's not staked in the ground of something that's actually can be shifted and changed and shaken away.
And I think it's very difficult for people to come to grips with that.
Yeah.
Reflecting back on finding your voice. Yeah. I remember vividly, because I am that old, the Vietnam War protests. I remember them vividly. And at that time, the anti-war protesters, a lot of what you heard was that they had to go to a place like Haight-Ashbury in San Francisco. Now, this is the early 70s, late 60s. Because I have to find myself. This was the big thing.
Yeah.
I have to find myself. And what they found was that they were right there all the time. So that here we are. This is what you get.
No matter where you go, there you are.
That's it. I tell people all the time that one of the most powerful days in my own life, several years ago, was the day I accepted my own humanity.
Yeah.
The day I said, you know what? I'm just a guy. I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
I don't get it right. I don't get it perfect. I'd gone through a number of challenges in my own life with family, elder care, and different things. And when you do that, I don't know if you've ever been involved in elder care yet in your life, but let me tell you, it's the hardest thing I ever had to do.
Yeah.
And you come back from a doctor's appointment, a hospital with my mom. I just didn't get it right today. But then I realized you got 75% for showing up, for being there. So I'm doing the best I can here, but I'm not getting it really perfect, but that's okay. I'm just a guy. I'm trying to do my best. So I think a lot of times people have got to take a step back and say, hey, listen, I can't be perfect. I'm not perfect. But I'm just doing the best I can today and trying to be excellent. I don't have to be perfect. I can be excellent.
Yeah.
But I just don't have to be perfect. And I think that goes a long way in, if you will, settling people down, relaxing them in a little bit, take a step back, take a breath, and then get ready and do it tomorrow. As I like to say, sometimes I've learned one of the important lessons in my life is, no matter what happens, keep moving forward.
Yeah.
But certain days, you only get an inch. Mm-hmm. Certain days, you get a foot. Some days, you sprint. It depends. And I think it's important to know that. There are times in my life when I didn't think about tomorrow. I thought about the next 15 minutes. Can I get through the next 15 minutes? Because if I can, I'll be able to get through the next 15 minutes. So it's all relative in a lot of respects in terms of what people are able to handle and deal with and how they can really, truly accept themselves first and then move through that. Any reflection on that?
Yeah, I love that. And I think even just to dovetail off of what you're saying is the importance of knowing what season you're in, right? Because there are those seasons of, okay, like the season that I'm in is the inch per day. And that is my capacity. That is where I'm at. And to actually honor that season and to not compare it with other people's seasons where they might be in a season where they can sprint for that season. I know, for example, I have a 2-year-old, I have an 8-year-old. And so for me, it was like, in that newborn season where I was a couple years ago, it was a very different rhythm, a very different speed than where I'm at now with a 2-year-old. And it's okay. I think we can know I think if we can honor what season we're in, then that actually helps get rid of that comparison to where, oh, I should be doing this and I should be going there and I should be this far ahead and we already start shoulding all over ourselves, right? So exactly what you're saying is like, oh, there are days where, you know what? My 100% is the inch, and that's okay because I'm actually going to honor that because I know that maybe next season, if you think about even seasons, there are winter seasons. There are seasons where it is hard and it's cold, but if you think about it, winter actually brings clarity, right? For a tree, there's no leaves, so you can actually see through the forest. So winter seasons for us as humans in our heart, that actually brings so much clarity. And in winter seasons for a tree, their roots actually go down a lot deeper. So that in storms of spring or fall or whatever, that tree is actually a lot stronger. It's a lot more grounded. So even going back to what you were saying about like you have actually increased capacity to handle stress. You actually have increased capacity to handle pressure. It's because you've been rooted and grounded and have clarity from harder seasons.
Yeah. I had a woman guest on several months ago, psychologist, terrific. And I'm sorry, but I can't remember her name. But she said something that was really interesting, and I had a couple of other guests agree with her, and that was that this idea of work-life balance doesn't exist. What she talked about was you do what's in front of you, basically. In other words, there are times when there is no balance. As a mom, maybe taking care of a newborn. There is no balance here. There's just all in. You're all in this particular period of time. The same thing in work. There may be situations occurring. Look at the firefighters in Los Angeles. There's no balance for those folks, I don't think. They're all in. They have to be every day in, day out, hour after hour. So you have to understand that, that work-life balance may very well be a myth in a lot of people's minds, because there are times when you just have to say, I have to push everything else out of the way and I have to dedicate myself to this. So a very interesting point. I want to ask you this question. I have a colleague named Dick Webster who has spent more than 20 years collecting ideas, models, and definitions of leadership. The last time I spoke with him, about a little over a year ago, his tally so far was 646 different models and definitions of leadership. So I have to ask you, when you speak of leadership and leadership development, okay, what does that term mean to you? That is, how would you characterize for you the idea of leadership?
I love this question, and it goes the complete opposite of what most of society thinks that leadership is. In today's world, leadership is like the person at the front of the room with the microphone, and they're just like the top of the pyramid and then that kind of a thing. But for me, actually, leadership looks like actually coming into a room with a towel on your arm. And that means that you're actually coming in to serve. You're coming in to connect. You're coming in to lift up other people around you. So it's actually the opposite of the guru mentality. And from that space, it's really interesting. What I've seen happen is, I think that once we start to identify core values, once we start to identify that foundational identity, once we start to identify even what you're talking about, this work-life balance concept, and actually being directed by our core values. So for example, for me, family is one of my highest core values. And if I build something that leaves them behind, if I create something that leaves them in the dust and they're actually not the highest priority that shows up on my calendar, then I'm actually living in alignment. So it's actually my values that actually dictate my decisions. It's not how I feel. It's not what I think is going on. It's not a circumstance. It actually is my core values that help dictate that. And from that place of actually then having a core value to serve and to lift other people up, what it does is in turn, it actually then creates more space. As I take up space, it actually creates more space for other people to get big around me as well. So yeah, leadership isn't like this guru mentality. It actually means that you walk into the room really confident in knowing who you are, the gifts that you have, even your weaknesses. Like there are things that I'm not good at, that I'm not interested in getting good at or learning how to. I'm actually really great with the weaknesses that I have because I want to surround myself with other people that are really great at those things and raise them up, lift them up, like those gifts out of them and allow them to shine. I don't know, that's what leadership looks like to me.
No, I understand. One of the metaphors I've been using or examples I've been using lately that goes along with the guru kind of idea that you just expressed was we've spent the last 70 years or so raising a generation of Jedi Knights as CEOs of companies and senior leaders in the organization. The idea being that if any problems arise, they can come down with their light sword and brandish their light sword and drive away all the problems and issues, vanquish the problems and issues. And today, in today's world, especially now in the aftermath of COVID, where people are no longer just wanting a job, but are searching for values alignment. That's one of the things that they want. Does this organization care about the same things I care about?
Totally.
So there's values alignment. I want to be heard. I want to be valued. I want to be respected. Today's senior leaders of an organization, I like to say to them, you have to think yourself more like Yoda in the sense that you're raising a generation of Jedi Knights.
Yeah.
Your job is to teach. Your job is to create the environment where they learn. You're bringing everyone along. You're creating a place, an environment where people come to do their best work every single day. And you have to understand that I have a much higher expectation of leadership than one person. And that's why I say leadership is an influence relationship where anybody can have influence. And I think the old ideas of leadership, the guru ideas, so to speak, are shredding, are absolutely being shredded. Not only because of the aftermath of COVID, but now by the hyper development of artificial intelligence. AI is putting the power of information and knowledge in the hands of everyone.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. And who's the smartest person in the room? I don't know. I think it's up for grabs right now. That's right. It could be little Bob over there or Janet sitting over there who has an account on ChatGPT and is now being able to do the right prompts and bring information forward. So influence, it's all about influence and where it's at. So I agree with you. I think that this rapid change is happening in leadership and people are going to connect. They have to connect on that human level in order to really help themselves and to bring others along. So I agree with you there. I want to ask you this too. If you can, please tell me about a specific case or client, without naming names, of course, that sought your help. What was this person's issue or issues? And tell me what you did and maybe the outcome of how it all turned out. Do you have anything specific in mind?
Oh, let's see. I think one that stands out recently, because I'm sure, like you, there have definitely been multiple people that have impacted or have been able to be impacted, which is really fun to say. I think one that was really recent was I actually just had a leadership retreat. And one of the gals, she came in and she was feeling really insecure, and we were working on communication skills and personal branding and building influence, being able to walk in and influence a room. And it was this really interesting space of her coming in feeling really insecure, and she would talk a lot and interrupt people a lot, and she was, oh, I'm really different from you guys. She just like kept self-sabotaging, like figuring out ways that she didn't belong, and like demeaning herself and just that kind of thing. And what was really interesting is, and it comes into this concept of when we're put into situations of pressure, what's underneath will come to the surface, right? For better or for worse. And I actually intentionally like to put people under pressure to see what comes out. Now, I do this on a regular basis. When I go to the gym and I work out, I actually intentionally put my body and muscle under pressure, and I just pay attention to what my mind does in those moments. And if I can talk myself through it, or if I'm giving myself the excuses to, oh, just all right, I'll take a break, or, oh, you don't have to really be at the gym for this long. You can just quit a little bit early, and I can tell, okay, what's my capacity doing? So for this example with this gal at this retreat, it was really interesting to where it was almost like she just had these shields up from what she had just learned from her past. And towards the end of the retreat, I was actually able to just sit with her and invite her into seeing things from a different perspective, to actually inviting her into, you actually don't have to show up with all of those masks and those shields from what you picked up along the way. You don't have to isolate yourself and say, self-deprecate, and you actually get to show up as who you are and who you be and who you're called to be, instead of all of those masks. Like I almost said, it was like this, she unbecame all of that fakeness, and we actually got to see the real her towards the end, on that last day. And she showed up confidently. She showed up really grounded. She showed up really as a great communicator, lifting other women up. So it was almost like as she unbecame all of those false identities of how she thought she needed to show up at this space, then we actually got to see her. And I was like, oh, there you are. There you are. And we were able to determine or decipher and unpack and separate the difference of that and how she has shown up differently. It was life-changing. That one moment was life-changing. And so where she goes from there, it'll shift everything.
Makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it?
It's so good.
Yeah, it's great. Transformation, watching people actually transform and change their minds. To me, it's the difference between a conversation and dialogue.
Yeah.
Dialogue, there's meaning that's being changed back and forth. Those make it worthwhile. I've had a few of those in my training career doing the simulation work where people just went, wow. And in my simulation work, I use two drivers, empathy and ambiguity. And ambiguity is a wonderful driver because when things are not known, or you can cause people to actually collaborate together. They can actually, they're confused. And confusion's a wonderful thing if you use it as a tool to get people to say, well, maybe if we come together, we can figure this out. Well, there you go. That kind of a thing. So, it makes it all worthwhile. We're getting close to the end, so I want to ask you now my world-famous question that I've asked to people from all over the world, and that is simply, if you had a magic wand and you could wave it at any issue or problem that you see in your life or in your work world, what would that problem or issue be, and why did you choose that?
I believe that human connection is one of the greatest things that we can cultivate. And in our digital world, where even as you mentioned, AI, and I'm not sure, is this a robot talking to me on Instagram or is this a real person? I think that we're actually going to be really awakened to how valuable us as humans really are to each other. I think that we have to sort through the junk, right? Unbecome all of the different things that we thought we needed to be. Actually really connect heart to heart, human to human in a healthy way, and having what you're saying, those really healthy dialogues. Being influenced as influencer and influenceable. My heart is open enough to be influenced by you. Your heart is open enough to be influenced by me. So there is that heart to heart, human to human. Nothing will replace the magic of that. It can be messy. We can absolutely be hurt in community. I know I've been hurt in community. I've been hurt by people, and we can be really healed in community. We can be healed. People can heal people. And so when we are in that space of healthy community, healthy connection, where we're in it for the long haul, where even if it gets messy, I'm actually going to stick with it with you. We're going to sort this through together, like what you're saying. Even in confusion, even in contentment or in disappointment, we're actually going to work through this together. I think when we can get that, there's a saying, and I forget who says it, but he talks about when women of the world come together. I believe it's bigger than that. Like when humans of the world, when people of the world come together for the pure, the intention, when women of the world come together for the goodness of mankind, it will be a force that the world has never known. So when people come together for our goodness. And I really feel like that time is now. Like it's not an if ever anymore. Like we actually need unity now more than ever. We need connection more than ever. We need each other more than ever. So
there's a scientific principle that goes, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And for every action we see let's just take this for example, in AI and the development of AI and the technology, I think the reaction is that people are coming to understand how important it is to connect as human beings. I always say that no matter what technological advancements, in the end, it's always about the people.
Yeah.
Always. I had a coach, an MCC qualified coach from Canada named Ed Temple. Ed Temple has an AI coaching buddy called Enzo that he uses to ask questions and different things like that. And he made this great statement, and he said, AI will probably handle 75 to 80% of the redundant tasks that we find ourselves doing now. He said, which makes the last 20% of our humanity even more important.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that. Charity, this has been a joy. Thank you so very much for your time today. I appreciate it being here on the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. I wish you all the success and all the connection in the future. Thank you so very much for your time.
Thanks, John, for having me, and thank you for your service. It's not lost on me.
You know what? My Vietnam veteran taught me the perfect response to that. When people say, thank you for your service, now I say, you were worth it. You have a wonderful day.